piece your interest. Basically, what we're showing is slaughterhouse and factory farm footage, all from the UK, all very recent footage, just to show people the reality of what their purchases are supporting. Have you seen this kind of footage before?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel when you watch it?
Not that much different.
No? And why not?
Because I like eating meat.
Do you think that your taste buds are worth more than the life of an animal?
I
feel like it's the natural.
It's a minority compared to the rest.
But do you think because something's a minority, it means it's wrong? Because if you think about it,
wrong.
things like flavouring, stuff like that were...
It's wrong, but it stays a minority, so
But
I'm not going to stop eating.
is it growing at the moment, the movement?
No, it's reducing.
Well, you think the amount of meat that's being consumed is reducing?
Yeah.
So do you think with that in mind, it's suggesting there's a shift?
I think it's more for health reasons and environmental issues to be
Yeah.
less meat more than...
Is that not a good argument as well, then?
Yeah, it is. I respect it. It's just not my personal opinion. I
So
respect
would you agree then that you're saying that your taste buds are worth more than the life of an animal?
It's not necessarily taste buds. I just feel like it's the natural state of the food chain.
Do you think
it doesn't have to be cruel.
Yeah.
But it's
okay.
It's that,
How would you
meat
do it in not a cruel way? Like, how would you kill an animal that doesn't want to die in a humane way, do you think?
one quick way.
Would that be humane?
Yeah.
What does the word humane mean?
Humane is trying to make the animals suffer the less possible.
So, like, I think it's like compassion and kindness are like the words. So do you think you can compassionately kill an animal that doesn't want to die?
Not compassion. Because you can't be compassionate with it.
Right.
He's going to die.
Right. Do you think we have to eat animals to live, or can we survive on plants?
No, we can do it. I just respect it's an individual decision more than a collective decision.
What about the animal's decision? Do they get a choice in the matter, or are they excluded from that moral value?
Well, if you ask an animal, would you like to be eaten or not, they're never going to respond. So
Well, neither would a human baby, but that doesn't mean that their worth of life is lower than ours because they don't have the ability to talk to us.
It's more cultural than anything, I think.
It is. Do you think that culture should decide morality?
No, I think it's just an individual decision. If you want to, you do. If you don't want to, you don't. And that's it.
But what about the fact that your choice has a victim?
Every choice can have a victim.
It can, but do you think that we should make the choices that limit our impact to others?
It's animal chain. Animals eat other animals. And, it's just,
But other animals...
If we don't eat them, we're an overpopulation. There are too many of them.
Why are there so many animals?
So,
Why do you think there's so many? Because we breed them, right?
Well, they're going to breed if we don't breed
But
them.
we breed these animals into existence ourselves. They're not naturally meant to be here. Because, as we say, we live in a society where there are options and alternatives easily available to us, and this doesn't need to happen anymore. Like, as you say, there isn't a compassionate way to kill an animal that doesn't want to die. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we still doing it if we don't have to? Yeah? Because if it is a matter of taste, the question you have to ask yourselves is, do you value taste over life? And if you do, why? What is it that makes you, what about being human that makes your taste buds worth more than the life of another animal? Like, would you eat a dog? Would you eat a cat?
so that's what the meaning.
I actually would.
You would?
I would.
Is there any animal you wouldn't eat?
It's more cultural.
No.
It's more cultural. It's just,
Cultural.
in India, you don't eat cows.
Yeah.
In China, they eat dogs.
Yeah.
I would do it, but it's just cultural.
It is
We
culture.
all,
But as we established, culture doesn't define morality, and we shouldn't base our morality on culture.
No, but culture's still what we are, and we are considered.
But we have to rebel against things that we see to be immoral or see to be wrong, regardless of whether we're conditioned or culturally indoctrinated to believe in those things.
It could be moral for us, but I know she would never eat horse meat,
Right.
and I love eating horse meat.
Right.
Because
And what's the difference between horse meat and cow meat?
Well, my main is the relationship that I can build with a horse, which I can't build with a cow.
Why couldn't you build a relationship with a cow?
Because we've already tried it. Because lots of people already tried it. It's just not the same.
But you can have a connection with an animal. And why is
feel
that?
as much. It's just something.
So an animal's worth of life is the connection they can have to you? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just my reason. Because I have that connection makes me appreciate them more, and I don't want to eat them.
So, but we do not agree that just because a horse has a connection with you as an individual doesn't make that their worth of life is lower than that of a cow or a pig.
No,
But that's what you're
because
saying.
I'm living in this society today. If I was living in the Second World War and I had nothing to eat, I would eat the horse.
But you don't live in that situation. You live in a society today where alternatives are easily available. Is it not selfish to value your own taste over the life of an animal?
Yeah. No, for me, all this is just an individual decision. So I'm not going to say
An individual
what's best
decision that
for
has a
it.
victim. So you have the choice between having a victim or not having a victim in your diet.
It's just up to what people want. If people don't want to eat meat, that's fine with them.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you've got to make other people not eat meat. They're allowed to if they want to.
If we applied that to a different situation, say if I want to make dogs fight, so I want to have dog fights and have people gambling on it, is it my personal choice whether or not I let dogs gamble, if I bet on dog fighting, or is that immoral?
So yeah, if you want to, there are dog fights.
Yeah.
If you want to go and see it, you do. If you don't want to, you don't.
But it doesn't make it moral just because someone has the personal choice whether they want to support it or not. That sort of thing shouldn't be allowed to happen. No, exactly. And what's the difference between eating meat and dog fighting, do you think?
Eating meat is much more morally accepted.
It's morally accepted, absolutely, but is it necessary?
No, it's definitely not necessary.
It's not necessary, and that's the similarities between like hunting or dog fighting and say eating animals. Is they're all unnecessary and all involve unnecessary cruelty being put on an animal.
Necessary. So many things we do which is not necessary.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we? So why aren't we looking to? But that's that kind of argument suggests, well, if we can't stop everything, we shouldn't try to stop anything. But these things are very simple, aren't they?
If you always ask, it's necessary, etc., life just becomes so boring, and you don't want to. You're allowed to if you want to do stuff which isn't necessary, but you want to do.
What if it has a victim? Would you say the same to a human who was abusing another human? Would that be acceptable? Or would you say the same if a human used to beat his dog? Would that be okay?
That would be putting a human on the same status.
Okay, so let's not do that. Let's say if I had a dog and I wanted to beat up my dog and abuse my dog, would that be my personal choice?
That's just something sadistic in you.
But so would it be sadistic if I killed the dog and then ate them? Or is it just sadistic if I just abused them but leave them alive?
Well, because beating a dog is beating him, it's just hurting him.
And what is cutting their throat? Is that just hurting them, or?
Well, because the point is not to cut his throat. The point is to eat him after.
But so, we've already established that we don't need to. So
I mean, eating him goes through hurting him.
Yeah.
But if you just hurt him for the pleasure, it's not about the same thing.
So, but eating them is done just for the pleasure because it's unnecessary. So the two situations are identical. They both involve hurting an animal unnecessarily for pleasure.
Well, I don't perceive it as the same pleasure.
It may not be the same pleasure, but it's a pleasure nonetheless.
Oh yeah, of course. But if you put every pleasure at the same level, then yeah. Just like you said before, you don't really live your life anymore.
But why should our life come at the expense of others? Like why should our enjoyment come at the demise of others?
But then some animals kill other animals, so their lives is to the expense of another animal.
But the thing is, some animals rape other animals. That doesn't make it moral for humans to rape. You see, we have moral agency. Other animals kill other animals because they have to. We don't have to.
No, but then I think meat's still important in the diet. It's still important loads of things too, so you can eat less of it. Yeah, it's just my opinion. You can still, and this is what most people do now, is the way they kill animals is much more, it's extremely quick, they don't suffer, they don't feel anything, and obviously there's still abuses, there will always be some, but that is a minority today, and it will probably disappear in time, which is...
But would you not agree then that raising an animal in confinement, not allowing them to live their life, and then ending their life prematurely...
Many of them are raised outdoors, etc.
Okay, but do you think if an animal lives a good life, that justifies killing them?
I'm not English, so I can't speak for the UK, but I know where I come from, and obviously there are abuses, but so much of it has changed. There's so much fighting going around with the ministers to try and make it much better. There's so many regulations today, so many checks. So obviously there's still abuses, there will always be, but it's still
how do you raise an animal, and even if the animals have a fantastic life, lives outside, if they have to die for an unnecessary reason, how can that ever be done without abuse?
Well, I mean, it is necessary for some of us to eat meat, so it's diverse.
Is it necessary for you two to eat meat?
Me, yeah, I wouldn't stop. I would eat.
What is it about meat that's necessary for you?
It's good for my health.
But can you get the protein, the iron, the zinc, the calcium from other plant sources?
Yes, but I don't like those sort of things, so I don't want to eat them.
But then you're valuing your own taste over the life of an animal. But you're saying that you can survive off of animals. In fact, eating animals has cholesterol, trans fat, saturated fat. It causes a whole host of health problems. That eating things.
If you eat too much of it, if you eat small parts of it, it's good for you.
It's not. If it has good things for you like protein, but it also has a whole host of bad things like the trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol.
So many people live in great health and live very old
and so many people dying early, obese, heart disease, colon cancers, type 2 diabetes.
Eat really bad meat, really fat
but what's good meat? What's good meat compared to bad meat?
Well, no, it depends the quality. There are loads of things. It's really
Raised
hard
on
to
hormones,
you can't
or raised on
generalise.
Yeah,
grain.
yeah, but the fact is, all meat, regardless of whether it's grass-fed, organic, still contains things like cholesterol, saturated fat, trans fat. It increases IGF-1 hormones. Milk, for example, always has hormones and estrogen, growth hormones, even if it's organic, because it naturally has that in it. So it doesn't matter if you consume a little bit or a lot; it's still intrinsically unhealthy for you. Sure, if you eat a little bit a day, it might not kill you, but that doesn't make it healthy.
You need growth hormones for your body. You
But
need
we
cholesterol.
don't need cholesterol from dietary sources. No, our body produces all the cholesterol that we need. All dietary cholesterol is bad cholesterol.
There's a reason to all these nutrients, and you can get them. You can get cholesterol from another source, but
Dietary cholesterol only comes from animal products.
what would be the difference between dietary?
How many people are in your society?
Well, in how many vegans we have in London?
No, in your like association or
We
whatever
get
you call it.
maybe altogether about 150.
And apart from doing this sort of stuff, what else do you do to try it?
Yeah, so we do a whole range of different things. One of the things is we go to slaughterhouses and we film the animals. Basically, they come in trucks to slaughterhouses, so we film them to show the animals in their kind of like before they're dead, to show people kind of like the animal at the last moments.
Okay.
We go to sanctuaries and we help out sanctuaries where animals have been rescued. We do things at supermarkets, so we hand out flyers and educate people about the products that are there in front of them. We basically try and do everything we can to show people the different stages of the process, and we do protesting as well. So we use megaphones if we're like, if a company's using fur.
And to try and do anything involving the government?
So, yeah, there have been things to the government before. The issue with the government is if we look for all of history, they've always been one step behind, society, black rights, gay rights, trans rights, women's rights. It's always been far behind, and the government often looks to society to judge the moral baseline. So what we think is that we have to attack the supply and demand chain, and that's why we make real change.
When did you become vegan?
So 2.5 years ago.
And so before that you ate meat?
So I was a veggie for about a year before that, and then for 20 years of my life I ate all animal products, KFC,
Okay.
Domino's, that kind of thing.
And what made you change?
So I watched a film called Earthlings, which made me change. But I also heard about a story, and there was this truck on the motorway carrying chickens, and it was heading to slaughter, and the truck crashed. And the journalist was saying about all these chickens were like really scared. They'd been hit by cars. They had broken bones, and I was like, this is really horrible. I felt really sorry for them. But I realised that the only reason they were in the trucks is because I'd paid for them to be there because I ate chicken products. And it was a bit hypocritical of me to feel sorry for chickens in this moment if they were only there because of me. So I kind of realised actually that all animals want to live and all animals feel pain. It's not just the animals that I love, or all animals in nature. Even the animals I eat still want to live their own life, and it wasn't my right to take that from them just because I enjoyed eating their flesh.
Okay.
This conversation has been really interesting, so thank you so much for having it with me. This is a website called cubatruth.com, and on this website is something called Challenge 22, which is basically where you pledge to try veganism for 22 days, but you get assigned a mentor, which is someone who'll send you recipes, tell you what restaurants you have in your local area that will give you vegan food. They'll basically give you all the information that you need or that you want, or alternatively they'll leave you alone, but you can try it. Have a nice day, and thank you so much for talking to me. Yeah, right, exactly. Get them outside the chains. Have a nice day, guys. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.